All the way from the start, I can feel it in my heart, like all the way from the start.
Hey, what's going on out there? I'm Sean Devine. Hope you all are doing well. Today's video, we're taking a look at the all-new Match EQ that's available in Ozone 9. This is an advanced technique that's been around for a while, but what we can do is we can utilize this to capture a frequency curve from a reference, and then we can apply it and do so with a lot of control in terms of the amount of that application so that we can create more consistency in our mixes, our masters. So let's go ahead and dive in. All right, so we've got the session loaded up here. I've got our mix, and then let's just say, for example, we've got a series of, songs that we're working on for an album or an EP. And so I've done this mix, and I've got another track that I want to create that cohesion and the similar tonality for. So what I've done here is I've loaded in that song in our reference tab in Ozone 9 Advanced. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using Match EQ to capture the EQ curve of our reference. And we're going to be applying that to this track here. So the first thing that we need to do is we want to capture the frequency curves of both of these tracks. So let's go over here to the apply to, which is going to be our mix up here. And let's just capture this, and then we'll be able to see a snapshot of the EQ curve up here.
You need someone to treat you right. Need someone to love you right. I can be the one you call at night when things ain't right. Caroline, I love you. Somebody who love you. Caroline, I love you. Yeah. I need you to, and not get discouraged.
All right, so we'll let that play back for 30 seconds or so in the loudest parts. And you'll see that we have a representation now of the EQ curve that was captured. And so now we want to capture our reference or our target. So what I'm going to do is just activate the reference and play that back. So we'll hit capture.
Baby, 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 you should've known. We ain't guaranteed. You and me, this ain't guaranteed, babe. And honestly, what you see ain't how it supposed to be.
All right, so now we see the representation of the reference in orange and our track that we're going to be applying it to in blue. You're going to see that these are, probably a little bit more similar than it would be otherwise because I did mix both of these. But there are some sonic differences here. And again, we want to just use this to create that bit of consistency for the project. So now if we go over to the fine tune control, you're going to see smoothing and amount. These are going to be key in getting the best results with Match EQ and also doing this in a way that's going to be natural. So the smoothing control is going to control the contour of the curve that's being applied, right? So we don't want to do this just straight up jagged, not smooth curve because it's going to be extra unnatural by doing that. So I usually like to just turn it up about halfway. You could even go higher than that. But then the amount control is going to control the intensity of the application of the matched curve, right? So the more we do that, the more it's going to intensify that curve adjustment. So let me just go ahead and play back the track, and then we'll move this up so you can hear what it's doing as I change the amount.
You need someone to treat you right. Need someone to love you right. I can be the one you call at night when things ain't right. Caroline, I love you. Somebody who love you.
Let's just go back and forth with the reference and just kind of hear if we've got that consistency and make some adjustments.
What you see ain't how it supposed to be. Hello. Even when times get scary, nothing good comes in a hurry. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. I can be the one you call at night.
You can hear that we've much better matched those. They sound a lot more consistent. Let's turn off the Match EQ just so you can get an idea of the consistency that was created there.
You need someone to treat you right. Need someone to love. Guaranteed. You and me. When things ain't right. Caroline, I love
So you can hear as soon as we activate the match EQ, we definitely get the brightness. The other, the reference track had a little bit more top end to it. And so again, you could see over here that with the match EQ, that's exactly what's happening. And then the low end curve, slightly different as well. This track isn't mastered or anything, so obviously they're going to be a little bit different in terms of dynamics and levels, but in terms of tonality and the frequency spectrum, pretty cool, very powerful to be able to use it this way to create that consistency. A couple other ideas for you just to put in your head, maybe ways that you want to use match EQ. I have done this in the past where I may have an artist who has recorded at a certain studio on one mic and a preamp, and then the next week they're recording in a different studio with a different setup, different mic, different preamp, and these are obviously going to go on the same album or project. And for me, just from an aesthetic perspective, I want to create that consistency. So what I'll do is I'll utilize this to capture the reference from that one day's recording, and then I will apply the curve to the recording from the other studio. So that's just one of the many ways that you can utilize this. I do want to preface this by saying that I'm sure a lot of your wheels are turning and have the idea of, oh, well, I can use this to exactly match the EQ curve of my favorite mixes or masters for my track. No song is going to be the exact same in terms of the frequency spectrum, nor do you want it to be, because you're not taking into account, the instrumentation, the tonality of your vocals, what's going on in that track, the way it was mixed are going to be fundamentally very, very different. So if you were to do this, you're going to accentuate certain things. You're going to, dip out certain frequencies in your track that are not going to work for the best of your song. On that note, one thing that I almost forgot to mention that's really cool about Match EQ here in Ozone 9 is that we can set the boundary of the match curve, meaning that I can move this and we can filter out the low frequency. So for instance, if we don't want to match that low end, you can see that by trying to match the curve of the target here, we actually got this kind of unnatural dip at around 100. And let's just say I don't want to do that. I can just move the lower boundary up so that we keep the low end, and then we're just utilizing the curve for more of the mids and the high end. Same thing for the high end. If we wanted to narrow that down, keep our high end intact, and maybe we just want to utilize some of the mids, we can do that as well. So really cool stuff there. Also, just to note that we can actually save these as presets. So if you capture the reference and then you want to, put this in, we can just go up here. If we just did James album, and so I use that as just a reference curve, we could utilize this across the whole project to create consistency off of, maybe the single or maybe the song that we really felt the most strong about in terms of the tonality of it. So anyways, y'all, if you have any questions about Match EQ or any of the things that we talked about today, feel free to leave a comment below. If you learned anything in the video, please like, subscribe, and consider sharing. We'll talk to you soon.